Okay, so the first position we're going to do is from the bottom. We're going to show you some techniques that you can do to control your opponent and hopefully finish your opponent. So, I'm on the bottom in what we call closed guard. Okay, Marcin's on the top. Okay, obviously in this position I need to be wary of strikes coming from the top. Okay, so I'm going to have my arms up, okay, just for protection. Okay, at any point, okay, I can also use my knees and bring my knees to my chest. So if I feel Marcin's going to posture up and then do a strike, look, I can use my knees to bring him nice and close to me. And look, I can control his tricep and the back of his head. Okay, so when Marcin's going up for a strike, look, I'm going to control, look, knees to chest, control this arm. I'm going to look to control the head. First part of this move, look, I'm going to punch out, overhook this arm, and I'm going to keep my elbow pinched nice and tight. Okay, now look, at the minute I'm a little bit too close to him. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust my hips slightly so that I'm on my side, and I'm going to regain my guard. Okay, from here I'm going to look to control his wrist. Okay, in MMA they've got the MMA gloves on, so it's actually a good control here, because if he tries to pull away, it's going to get caught on the glove. Okay, so look, what I'm going to do, we've got two variations of this. Okay, I'm going to punch my hand right towards his chest. Okay, and I'm going to pin his wrist towards his chest. The second I get his wrist on the chest, I'm going to open my guard, and look, I'm going to elevate my legs over his shoulder. Here. Okay, now I've got to finish the position. Okay, to finish this position we need to deal with this arm. So look, I'm going to release the overhook. Okay, and what a lot of people try to do, a common mistake in this position, is to try and finish the triangle straight away. But look, this arm's in the way. So look, feet crossed, knees tight together, so you're giving him limited space. Now look, I'm going to lift my hips as high as possible. Okay, so look, high as possible. Now look, watch this arm. I'm going to push from the elbow, get it across, sink my hips back down. What this does is, when I sink my hips back down, it stops him getting his elbow out. So if Marcin tries to pull his elbow, yeah, it's a lot harder. From here, my opposite hand is going to grab my shin. Okay, now look, this is another mistake that happens when people do this move. They put the foot in the hip, but look, they keep the knee out. Okay, and it's what a lot of people teach, but look, if Marcin was to go 100% and pull his arm out, he's out. Okay, so look, I'm here, lift my hips up, hand on the elbow, look, push it across. As I push it across, I sink my hips. I do this all nice and fast. Okay, and I bring my knees to my chest and I hug nice and tight. Hand, grab the shin like we said before. But look, when I put my foot in the hip, here, I always keep my knee as tight as possible. Okay, now if he tries to do the same thing and pull away, yeah, it's really hard. Yeah, making it a lot difficult for him to do that. Now, I use this as a reference point where my knee is. I want to try and bring my foot in front of my knee. Okay, so I need to eliminate all the space so I can pull his head down, pull. Now look, I'm going to pull my shin in front of my knee. At the same time, I'm going to push off his hip and angle off. Okay, watch, look, push, push. See how I pull my knee, my foot and my heel in front of my knee. Now I know that my shin is perpendicular to his spine. That's how I want it. Okay, then all I've got to do is over my foot here. To finish this position, my heel is going to drive down, my foot is going to go flat toes to the ceiling. Okay, and that tightens all the space. So look here, both hands on the head, or you can hug your shin, and I'm just going to squeeze and get the tap. And that's a triangle from the guard position.